Rotarians and guests, it is 12:15. It is Wednesday, and that can only mean one thing. And Jake, that means today is what? It is a great day to be a Rotarian. It's a super great day to be a Rotarian when you're president of one of the finest Rotary clubs in the world, and I just happen to be that Rotarian today. I am your club president, Aaron Jacobs, and by now you all know that I am all about the service above self as well as the four-way test. And would you please join me? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Here's a dumb question. Has anybody made a mistake in the last week or so? Is it the truth? Come on. See, I know I did, but the cool thing about the four-way test is it does not say that you're not allowed to make mistakes. But what I find is that, first of all, if you do this, it decreases the amount of mistakes that you make. But if you do, this is the best way to get life back on track. And I say that because I know that we all at some point in time are struggling. And whatever you're struggling with this week, check the four-way test. And things will get better, I promise you. But speaking of people who don't really make mistakes, I have three outstanding true Rotarians who are going to help open our program today. Why was that funny? Kelly Gibson will provide our invocation, and Anstat will introduce our guest, and past President Glenn Miller, the most lily white of them all, will lead our opening song, The Star-Spangled Banner. Past President Glenn.
You have got to get back on your medication. You really do. Hi, Rotarians. Please join me in the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please prepare yourself for prayer in the manner to which you are accustomed. As we gather here, we are reminded of the rich tapestry of cultures that make up our global family. Each culture brings its own unique traditions, beliefs, and practices, enriching the human experience in countless ways. Lately, we have seen these cultural differences create divides and barriers between individuals and communities on our campuses, in our streets, and across our world. In our increasingly divided landscape, it is more crucial than ever to strive for understanding and unity across cultural boundaries. As followers of faith, we are called to embrace the values of love, compassion, and empathy, which transcend cultural differences. We must confront our own biases and prejudices and cultivate a spirit of acceptance and respect for all people. The Quran states that humans should treat one another with honor, respect, and loving kindness because everyone is created by God. The verse 1770 says, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no greater commandment than this." Today, we are reminded that our neighbors come from all walks of life, from all different faiths, and from every corner of the earth. Today, we give thanks for our new neighbor and Youth Exchange Student High, who will share all that she has learned about our culture here in York and educate us about her home in Indonesia. We also give thanks to the many hands that prepared the food we enjoy in fellowship. All this we pray. Amen.
I am pleased to have the honor to introduce our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Aaron welcomes you. Khai Bestari, guest of Youth Exchange. Steve Astley, guest of Youth Exchange. Debbie Scarlett, Youth Exchange. Sophia Scarlett, member of Youth Exchange. Steve Scarlett, Youth Exchange. Sarah Brown, guest of former president, past President Jackie Summers.
No, President Aaron. I'm still president.
Oh, that's not what Courtney said. Okay, Lindy Veras, past president Courtney Piccolo, sorry. Jennifer Seal, guest of past president Jackie Summers. Clarissa Hargan, guest of Amanda Hardin. Is Amanda here? Aaron?
All right. What did I say about making mistakes? The visitors, one mistake no one made this week was deciding to come to Rotary, and that is certainly true for you, because let's face it, you had a great lunch, you're meeting some really cool people, and you're going to have a great program today. However, there's one mistake you don't want to make, and that is not becoming a member of our Rotary Club. Jennifer, Lindsay, people who host youth exchange students back there, because let's face it, Rotarians do not let their friends not join Rotary. So do you want to be the coveted 300th member? Because we're so close. It could be you, Sarah. That said, Rotarians, let us welcome our guests today. We have brief announcements before we roll into our program today. On May 15th, the program committee will be meeting. Yes, that's today. People make mistakes, the four-way test. The program committee will meet following this meeting today, 1:30 downstairs in the Mixed Grill. The Youth Exchange Committee, what an ironic thing this is, will meet on May 16th at 12 p.m. via Zoom. There will be a networking event opportunity, and this one is going to be super cool. Who's that handsome man there? Where's JT at? No JT hand on his special day. Well, Jeff's here. Raise your hand, Jeff. It kind of counts. We're going to meet at the water company, York Water Company, at the Lake Williams Dam that was recently completed on Tuesday, May 21st for a lunch. Rob Bowen, are you here? Oh my gosh. Mistakes. Anyway, contact past President Rob Bowen if you would like to attend. And now I'd like to invite President-elect Courtney Bailey Piccolo and past President Glenn Miller to the stage to do a conversation about our strategic plan.
Thank you, President Aaron. In the book of Proverbs, it is written, "Without a vision, the people perish." I have always loved those words. But what I have found myself over the years adding to those words is a second line. Without a plan, the vision perishes. During the year of my presidency, I, along with several other key leaders in the club, became convinced that our club needed a new and clear vision for the future and a plan to carry it out. We have done great things in this club for many years, and we've done those things because of decades of leadership that has regularly stopped to look at where we are and where we need to go. And it was clearly time to do both once again. So, with the blessing of the board of directors and some very skilled leadership facilitating things, we dove into the process. As we did, 4 things emerged quickly as vitally important. First, direction and focus. Doing good generally is great so far as it goes. Doing good with intentionality, that is to say, good that comes out of a clearly established set of objectives and priorities, is better. It can mean bigger strategic impact, an approach of surgical precision rather than buckshot. Once our direction and focus were established, we knew we would need to work on alignment, making sure that everyone and everything in the club was pulling in the same direction, that everyone was on the bus, as the saying goes. As every business and not-for-profit leader in this room knows, measurement and accountability are also key. You cannot manage what you cannot or won't measure, and you cannot move forward with goals and expect to accomplish them without accountability at every level. Finally, communication. A new vision and plan to go with it needs to be communicated to you, the membership, that's why we're here today, so that you know where we are going and why, so that you can get on that proverbial bus and help us get to where we need and want to go. The result of the first phase of work was the development of a new mission statement and 7 key focus areas. The new mission statement reads, to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. And the 7 areas of focus: connect leaders, cultivate youth success, enrich our members through educational programs, fellowship, service, and friendship, improve the York City environment, support community development opportunities, respond in times of crisis, and advance the mission of Rotary International. These 7 areas of focus are modeled directly off of Rotary International's approach to their own strategic planning work. Clearly stated areas of focus that can inform and drive the strategic planning process. Let's have a planning meeting to plan for the planning meeting about our strategic plan. I don't mind telling you that getting here to the statement and the 7 areas and all that has followed was a long process. And frankly, that was, in my view, a very good thing. I knew at the outset that the worst thing in the world would have been for our little strategic planning group to have laid out these statements before the board and had everyone simply say, sure, sounds good, next agenda item. Instead, your board of directors rolled up its collective sleeves and truly immersed itself in the process. We listened to club leaders. We listened to each other. We listened to community leaders. We discussed and debated, often passionately. For example, stating explicitly a focus on the city of York in the mission statement was neither automatic nor without robust discussion. We had implicitly done much of our good work in and for the city of York for years, but now we were choosing to say it intentionally, choosing it as a focus upon which to build much of the rest of our work. Similarly, there were lots of things that could have made it into those top 7, but these 7 emerged after serious and candid discussion as the 7 that would guide our future. I mentioned having strategic leadership in the strategic planning process. Our leader was our own Rich Randall. I am forever indebted, and he will probably never let me forget it, that Rich was willing to take on a process that took much longer and went much deeper than any of us imagined at the outset. We are also deeply indebted to Lynn Morrison. Lynn was not just at the table through the process, but was rather a key voice, engaged and helping to lead us from the start. She was exactly the executive director that we had asked her to be when we brought her on board a few years ago. We also had an initial strategic planning committee, which was later expanded, and finally, and most critically, the board of directors of the club, who, as I mentioned before, were fully engaged. This plan is truly your board's plan, and they hope that it will become your plan. If you were a part of the strategic planning committees, one of the group of leaders that I mentioned, or a part of the board of directors of the club, would you stand for a moment, please? And be recognized. All of this was very hard and time-consuming work, but taking this and putting flesh on it, taking statements and plans and figuring out how to make them reality is the real work. And to talk about the implementation of the plan, very appropriately, is our next president who will be carrying those plans out, Courtney. And now we're going to dance.
All right, so that brings us to today, which is when we're rolling out the club's 3-year strategic plan. Super exciting times. In the strategic plan, we have identified 4 strategic priorities that will drive the overall plan, shared with you here on the screen. Number 1, increase our service impact. Number 2, create an engaged and diverse membership. Number 3, increase awareness and understanding of our organization. And number 4, align governance and resources to support club priorities. On the next couple slides, Past President Glenn and I will share with you a little bit more insight about each of these items and some of our plans. The first strategic priority, to increase service impact. We aim to participate in service projects that will create positive, meaningful, and lasting change. To achieve this, we will expand the number and effectiveness of our club's service projects. We will focus on youth success as our primary service goal for the next 3 years. And we will ensure that we strengthen our ability to achieve and measure the impact of our initiatives and reporting back on that progress. Our second strategic priority is focused on creating an environment that attracts and retains members. We want to give people reasons to join our club and encourage ongoing involvement by offering meaningful experiences, valuable membership benefits, and opportunities to continue to connect and serve the community. We plan on enhancing and enriching the member experience, as well as expanding and diversifying our membership base.
It's important in any organization to tell your story in consistent and engaging ways that will build awareness inside and outside of the organization of who we are and what we are about. Through the new plan, our hope is that we will increase the Rotary Club of York's visibility in our community and help us internally to better understand and embrace our work and purpose. How any organization is structured will have everything to do with how successful it can be in reaching its goals and accomplishing its mission. Structure may not be sexy or exciting, and changes to structure can understandably be stressful. But exciting or not, stressful or not, having the right structure in place is critical. As the architects and engineers in this room will attest, form should and must always follow function. We are therefore looking carefully at our operations, our committees, and budgeting processes to ensure that all of this is aligned to support the priorities and goals that we have established. And we are looking to developing accountability plans to keep ourselves in line. The result will be strategies, timelines, and measurable outcomes. As you'll hopefully recall, the new strategic plan, as mentioned a few moments ago, has 7 areas of focus. In the process of moving from overarching plan to the specifics of the next 3 years, the board has chosen 2 areas to focus on principally. They are youth and member engagement. All 7 are important, and some of those 7, like responding in times of crises and supporting Rotary International are things that have and will continue to happen organically, as they always have. But these two are central for us in the coming 3 years. It is no accident that one of the two is internally focused, member engagement, and the other externally, service to youth. Without a properly engaged membership, we can't really do anything. And with a single focus of external service, we have the potential to accomplish great things that have significant and lasting impact. So, what does this mean for you? You are undoubtedly wondering. Pretty simple, and at the same time, pretty challenging. The simple part, I hope, is that you have or are gaining now a better understanding of the direction we want to move the club in, at least for the next 3 years. The challenge, quite honestly, looking at ourselves, looking at our committees, looking at the ways that we are involved, and asking the question, what needs to change in our thinking and our acting in order to get there? And to say more about that, here's Courtney.
All right, so now that we've given you the official overview, we just have about 45 more slides. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to give you a couple examples to kind of give us a little bit of meat and some understanding of how we might start to implement the strategic plan. As past President Glenn and I shared with you, our service focus for the next 3 years with being with youth. We plan on, through key partnership cultivation, we want to figure out a way to engage and serve and make a positive impact in the lives of youth in the city of York. This will be through the continuation of some of our existing activities like scholarships and recognition and other club activities, but we will also be looking to develop new youth service projects and opportunities that are in line with our mission and strategic priorities. As we will enhance and improve member engagement, so often, we're bringing in new members, but are we really taking care of those new members? So prioritizing that first year experience for new members is key. Additionally, we want to engage with all members, whether you've been a member for 1 year or 30 years, to ensure that you're not becoming a small fish in a big pond, because let's face it, our club is big and it can be confusing and overwhelming at times. And we will regularly be asking you for feedback and direction on how our club can meet your needs. How can we be providing you with value? Another way we'll start implementing the strategic plan is by taking steps to improve our organization. Past President Glenn alluded to this earlier, but we're carefully looking at our committees and budgeting processes to ensure that everything is aligned to support our priorities and goals in the strategic plan. Does anybody know how many committees our club has right now? If I had to guess. Anybody take a guess? 27 committees. That's a lot. So it has been a long overdue task to try to look at these committees and try to merge some of them together who has common goals to make sure that we are making meaningful impact in our community and not have a siloed approach. So what are the next steps? We invite everyone to actively engage in implementing this plan, and we welcome your ideas and contributions. Your active participation and involvement are essential to our club's collective success. So how can you view the exciting strategic plan? Well, by tomorrow, you will receive an email with a one-pager that summarizes everything that Glenn and I just shared with you. Some of you might be sitting here wishing you just got that instead, but you will be getting that by tomorrow, as well as you can go to our club's Facebook page by tomorrow. It'll be posted there. It'll also be on the club's website. So 3 places that will be shared with you. Now, the detailed version of the plan, which is more than 1 page, that will be shared with the committee chairs that are the committee chairs for next year by next month to start doing some of this really important work. So in closing, the success of the strategic plan means nothing without each and every one of you, our members. A big part of that is building our successful history while retooling for the future. The strategic plan serves as a blueprint for making a more meaningful impact in our community. And together, we have the opportunity to make that impact and create positive change. So let's do this. Thank you.
That, at the very least, was the most compelling sales pitch for our visitors to join our club. I'm just saying. I have to say what an honor it has been to have our strategic plan take shape and get implemented during the year that I preside as club president. It took the hands of many, as Glenn said, to carry out such a large project. And frankly, our club's ability to think strategically and adapt is what has kept us so relevant for 108 years. If we as a club did this correctly, we will see it in our community. My hope is that our club's substance is measured by the friends we make and the people that we help, because that's what this process has really been about. I applaud those who helped to make this change happen and those who are ready to embrace it. We are the Rotary Club of York, and we will be leaders unto ourselves in our community that we serve. Let's have another round of applause. All right, Walt, we warmed him up for you. I'd like to invite Walt Tilley to the podium to introduce today's program. Walt.
Preliminarily, before I do the program introduction, I want to salute past President Glenn, President-elect Courtney, President Aaron, and all of those involved in developing this long-range plan that we heard today. I am pleased to tell you that I support the plan wholeheartedly, and so does the Youth Exchange Committee. We've already begun our efforts to implement our part of that plan. So I want to say again, congratulations to you. Well done. Before I begin with the introduction of our speaker, however, I think there are some other people that I would like to recognize today. So if your name happens to be Sarah White, Steve Askling, or if it's Sophie, Debbie, or Steve Scallett, would you guys please stand? We cannot have a youth exchange program without host families, and these are the host families for this year's exchange student from Indonesia. She has attended the York Suburban High School this year. And so would you please thank the host families, the Scallots and Askling Whites, for their hosting this year. Thank you. If you are a member of the Youth Exchange Committee and you are here today, would you please stand? We cannot have a youth exchange program without the committee members to coordinate everything that goes on, without people like Jackie and Albert to serve as counselors, to make these students feel welcome and successful. Could we please thank the people from the Youth Exchange Committee? And so to our program. The best description that I have for our speaker is delightful. She's just an amazing spark, a light in the room wherever she goes. And she's from Indonesia. Now, well, where is Indonesia? Well, it's really simple. It is the country that is immediately west of Papua New Guinea. So having cleared that up, you're going to have to watch her presentation to see. But I have a question, a test for you, because I want you to look at her map, and I want you to see May is a month when we recognize in the United States, for those of you on the IDEA committee or other DEIs, South Pacific Islanders. And so what I want you to look at is Indonesia a South Pacific island? Is it something we recognize this month? If so, why? If not, why not? And I'll just leave that hanging for you. Khai Bestari is from Indonesia. She has been an exchange student that's been here since August. And would you all please welcome her, because the way we reward a successful exchange student is by making a 16-year-old high school student stand in front of 200 very accomplished community leaders and speak to them in a foreign language. Ira, please come.
Um, so hello everyone. Today I'll be speaking about how my year has been, and I'm just gonna introduce myself about where I'm from, what my country is, my culture, everything like that. So, my name is pronounced as Hyra. The K is silent. It looks a bit weird. I'm from Indonesia and I'm currently 16 years old and I'm from the Rotary District 3410. So a bit about my family. I live in a family of 5. I didn't miscount. There's 6 of us in the picture, but so my oldest brother is married because he's 29 and my second brother is 26, a pretty far age gap. But so I have a sister-in-law, and a fun fact about me and my family is me and both of my brothers, we all had an exchange in the US. So I think that's pretty cool. So I go to a private school back home. We have around 800 students, and we share the building with the middle school. And another difference is that here, high school is 9th grade to 12th grade, while for me, it's 10th grade, 11th, and then 12th. And we use uniforms. So in the bottom, like right, I forced 2 of my friends to take a picture, and so we wear like vest, and then we have a skirt, and we use a tie to go to school. So back to Walt's question, where really is Indonesia? So Indonesia is all the way in the far right. It's an 11-hour time difference, and it's 10,000 miles apart from here. So it's a bit of a struggle if I want to contact my parents. It was a 26-hour flight, and it was actually the longest flight I've ever been in. My legs were so sore. So here is a map of where I am. So my city, you can't really see it that well, but it's in like the bottom part, but I live in a pretty big city. And since Indonesia is an island country, we're made up of like 18,000 islands. We have 1,000 different cultures, and we have 700 languages, like a lot more than that, but we have a lot of difference. So this is my city. I'm the capital, we're the capital city of West Java, which is like a province in Indonesia. And we're the largest city, the 3rd largest city in Indonesia. And we're called the City of Flowers by like other people. And since Indonesia is a tropical country, our weather tends to be very humid and hot. So it's around 90 to like 100 Fahrenheit most of the time. But my city tends to be a bit more cooler, so it goes to like 80s, 70s, like around that range. So here are a few wonders of Indonesia, like what even is there? So we have a pink beach in Indonesia, which I think is really cool since I think that's very unusual. And we also have the Komodo dragon, which is this like species where you can only find in Indonesia. And it's like not all over the place. It's only in one island. Like I don't see in my backyard, but we visited the island, and it's me and my parents right behind it. And I was actually terrified because I was so afraid that it would like come back and like run at us, but thank God it didn't. So next is, there's a reason why I'm dressed up all like this. So we have a traditional dance called the Merak dance, and Merak means peacock in Indonesian. So I just like to showcase what it is for a bit. Okay, wait, let me take off my shoes. That was a very short part of the dance. The actual dance is like 7 minutes long, and I think that was a bit too long for me to do. So I cut it to like 2 minutes. My Rotary Club back home is very, very small compared to the one here. We only have around 17 members, and it's only been existed for like 27 years, and they're my club sponsor. A few things we did was we marched for polio. We advertised how how to prevent stunting, and also we built a septic tank for a local community. So now I'm gonna talk about my experience here. I first arrived here mid-August, and in the airport, I was greeted with a firefly balloon that was bigger than my head. So I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And both of my host families greeted me with a welcome sign, which I thought was the sweetest thing ever. And a few days later, I met with the other exchange students in our district, and there's a picture of all 5 of us. In the fall, the first like 3 months when I was here, I was able to experience homecoming. And I think Suburban has a great job of just making the exchange students feel welcomed, because they put me in homecoming court when I first arrived. And I was like, what even is homecoming? You put me in court? And I got to experience that, which I thought was so fun because I got to sit on top of a convertible and wave at people. And I was like, you don't even know me. I don't know you. Why am I like waving? But in school, I joined theater, which I thought was pretty cool. And I was in the fall, I was able to go to New York City, DC, and Philadelphia. And I went to New York with the school, and I also was able to go with my first host family, Sarah and Steven. And we visited a lot of cool places. Oh, and I also went to Hershey, where I got to dress up with other exchange students for Halloween. In the winter, I got to experience Christmas. And by this time, I had moved in with my second host family, and we did the traditional Christmas tradition of wearing the same pajamas, which I thought was pretty funny. And with my second host family, we went to New York again, but this time I saw the musical, not the musical, the Broadway show, Harry Potter. And I got a chance to go to Harrisburg with Rotary. And I think one of the funnest parts of this winter was that we got snow. And since I'm from a tropical country, we don't have snow. So one of my bucket lists was go build a snowman and go skiing. And you can see my smiling, like happy face in the far right. I was so happy to go skiing. It was my like first time and I got to go because Albert brought me there. And it was so fun. I loved skiing. I'm kind of sad that I didn't have a video of me falling on my face, but I think I did good for my first time. In the spring, I joined the lacrosse team as a girl who has never played a sport before. So I thought it was pretty cool. And since I don't have lacrosse back home because it's an American sport, so I thought it was pretty cool to just play a different sport. And also I got a chance to go to Hawaii with a Bella USA program. And there I got to meet around 50 other exchange students. And I got to see dolphins, turtles, and also got to go surfing for the first time, which is kind of like surprising whenever I say I've never been surfing because I'm from an island country and people are like, "You've never been?" And I'm like, "No." But another thing is in school, I joined this engineering class where we had to build a cardboard boat that had to float and you're only allowed to use like cardboard and duct tape. And me and my friend were stressing so much during this thing, but we made it and we didn't sink, which was pretty fun. Another thing I did with school was I went to New York again for a Model UN conference where our school represented the country Nigeria. And since it was like an international conference, there was a lot of people from different countries. And I actually got to meet a couple of other Indonesians in that program. So before I end my presentation, I'd like to thank everyone in that picture. So both of my host families, my counselor, everyone in Rotary. I'd just like to thank everyone for making my year how like great it is now. So I'm very thankful for everyone that has made my year how it is. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'll be answering questions if anyone has any.
Excellent presentation. Question, did you go to a Rotary Club meeting in Indonesia? What is a Rotary Club meeting like there?
So our club is like very small. So whenever we have a meeting, it's usually just like a couple of us sitting at a table and just we talk about like problems we could solve and like programs we do. Like it's very similar to here of how you like would donate things to like a community like that's in need or something. So it's usually something like that.
Great presentation, thank you. What grade were you in when you returned home?
So my year here doesn't count as an academic year. So I'm gonna have to repeat my junior year when I go back. But since I'm 16, like it's fine. But I'm currently a junior at Suburban, but they're letting me do everything seniors do. So I'll be walking graduation and everything, which I think will be pretty cool. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to repeat my junior year when I go back.
I was just curious if you feel like your English is good. Yeah, already spectacular window.
What did you think? You met me when I first got here. I don't know. Whenever I called my friends from back home, they would always say that I sound so American now. And I was like, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, because they always say it like, "Oh, you sound so American now." And I'm like, why are you saying it like it's a bad thing? But yeah, I think my accent definitely improved and I definitely got like a lot of new words. Like, I don't think, well, I still say like a lot, but I think that's pretty common for a teenager. Indonesian. English is my second/third language.
curious, you joined the engineering club at Suburban. Do you have inclinations to become an engineer or some sort of technical activity as you progress and graduate?
What does inclination mean?
Do you enjoy solving problems?
Oh.
And designing things or technical activities of one sort or of another? That would be engineering.
Yeah, so from the class, I found out that I really like designing those things. So I think I want to major in engineering in the future.
Congratulations on what seems to be a successful year, and thank you for your presentation. You mentioned that your dance was for the peacock, I think, and that your city is a flower city. So I was curious if the peacock is sacred or special to Indonesia, and if you have a favorite flower.
So I'm not a big flower person, so I'm not really sure the types of flowers. I just think every single flower is pretty. But the dance itself, since it's from my province, it's just telling a story about like a peacock's life and how like they're beautiful their life is, and we just glorify that. Like it's very, very pretty. But I don't think it's very like culturally important since we have a lot of different types of dances too. But this is just one of the dances that I found like very pretty, and the costume is just very pretty. So I chose this one.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm so glad you had such a great experience here. I'm wondering what's the food that you miss the most and will eat when you get back?
Food I miss the most. That's a pretty hard question because everyone I ask always asks that. And I'm like, I think I'm just gonna have a whole feast of Indonesian food so I can just pick what I want. But there's this food called nasi padang, which basically is like you have rice and a lot of like side dishes and you just pick what you want and then like you eat that. So I think I'm gonna like really enjoy that. Fast food.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience this year. You mentioned that your older brothers had come to the United States for an exchange. So I was wondering if you were at all surprised about something in your experience, or if you felt like you kind of knew what to expect because your brothers had been here.
So before we came here, we met with like Rotex, which is basically Rotary exchange students who did exchange in the past. And they would always tell us to not expect anything because you don't want to get your hopes up or anything. So when I came here, I just had no expectations and I was like pleasantly surprised by everything. But both of my brothers did their exchange in high school. No, my second brother did his exchange in high school and my eldest one did his in college. And they both had very different experiences, but I think they both enjoyed it. And I think my eldest brother enjoyed it even more because he was in college and he was like, yeah, I think I liked it even more because I had more freedom and I was in my like early 20s and I was like, oh, that makes sense. But I like doing it in high school because the American high school experience is something I could only see in movies. So I thought it was very cool.
I greatly appreciate your humor, your personality. How is the American high school experience different than the movie that you've seen?
When I first saw Suburban, I was like, this looks exactly like High School Musical. And everyone kept going, does it? And I'm like, yes, it does. Like, do you not see the hallways and everything? And they're like, mm-mm. And I'm like, yes, it does. But I think American high schools have a lot of fun activities and clubs you can do here, which I think is just really fun for an average high schooler, especially from someone coming from a different country. It's just so many things to do. And the classes here, I think, especially in Suburban, they have a lot of variety. So that's what I really liked about it.
Hi, with all the experiences you've had here, what do you think was the most
impactful or life-changing experience you've had during your year in the Americas?
Like to my character that built up. So I think when I first got here, I had never ever met both my families. I just had a Zoom call with them a few hours before my flight. So when I first got there, it just hit me that I'm gonna be living in a house with strangers I've never met before. And I was like, this is okay. So when I first got there, I was extremely awkward and quiet because I didn't know how to act, but I also had a lot of jet lag. So I think just staying in a completely different environment where this is out of my comfort zone, I just didn't know anyone here. I was so scared to speak English in front of like native speakers because like it was so scary, but I got out of it and now I'm here.
Hi, next year we're going to have two students who will be traveling on our outbound exchange opportunity from York Suburban, and one is going to Brazil, one to Italy. Is there advice that you have for them as they're about to embark on this year-long journey?
I definitely say don't be scared of trying new things and don't be scared to ask people for help. Because when I first got here, I was like, I wanted to try so many different things, but I was kind of scared to do it. But I did it anyways. Like lacrosse, I was terrified of doing it because everyone kept telling me, oh, you want to play lacrosse and you've never played a sport before? And I was like, yeah. But I really enjoyed it. And I think it really just depends on the person because going out of your comfort zone can like be a really fun thing sometimes.
Hi, it's really great that youth exchange is a tradition for your family, but it's also remarkable to me, kind of what you alluded to, that a 16-year-old could have the courage to travel 10,000 miles across the planet to the other side of the world, all by herself, leaving her family and her friends behind, to see new great adventures in a foreign land, or even to have the courage to dance so eloquently in a room full of over 100 strangers. It's like a gift of your culture that we take with a high level of grace. I hope your year was impactful and memorable as we were blessed to have you with us. And also thank you to the Youth Exchange Committee and the families who helped to make her visit possible. Congratulations again, Hyra. In honor of Hyra's presentations, we are donating the books The Skunk and Badger by Amy Timberlake. It will be donated to the YMCA of the Roses, along with the bookmark made by the students of Creative York. And next week, we've got yet another great program. Next week, we have Tim Pash of Freedom Square Development. Tim established Timothy F. Pash Incorporated in 1990 and has had a proven track record of successful projects and development in our communities ever since. Tim's most recent and largest project is the Freedom Square community. And next week, he will present this planned community with a town center experience that includes both residential and commercial development, featuring extensive outdoor amenities as well. This is going to be a really good one. I hope to see you next week. Have a great American day. This meeting is adjourned.